Right, from young player to the new signings. We haven't picked a new signing in any of our previous picks, so this will be interesting to see who we've all gone for here. I have gone for Fulkrug. George is very controversially, in Chris's eyes, probably gone for Minte, a signing from Newcastle to Brighton. Dan's gone for Pedro Neto. Chris has himself gone for Smith Rowe. So I think we'll start with George this time. Minte? Minter?
Yeah, so this is one I would have liked to have gone for a Liverpool player here, but we haven't signed anyone. So
No, he's got a point.
Minter, yeah, I think so. He was on loan at Feyenoord, wasn't he, last season? And then Brighton, it's maybe not one for this season, this one, but it's more Brighton have a track record recently of signing players, selling them on for big profit. I wonder maybe, he's left-footed, he's got pace. I wonder if maybe, if Slot is to be a success at Liverpool, he will eventually need to replace Salah. In a couple of years or two, might think, oh, what's another left-footed player who's around? Oh, that guy I used to have at Feyenoord who's now doing well at Brighton. All of a sudden, Brighton are going, yeah, hello, well, we bought him for, was it 30 million? You can have him for 90. And that would just be yet another
the Brighton
way.
I mean, they've spent money.
Exercise. Yeah.
Brighton have spent money in the last 24 hours. 40 million for Leeds for Reter. Could be a good signing for them. I think another one as well I saw. They've spent
So
and they could be signing
of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, signing of the season, maybe not for this season, but maybe
long term
in the future. Yeah, long term one. Yeah.
Well, mine's certainly for this season because Fulkrug, I think, is what, 32, 31, 32, but he's a goal scorer.
Yeah, it's a really good shout, and he was very impressive at the Euros when he was playing, and I think Germany were amiss to not play him more.
Yeah, I think West Ham have been crying out for a proper striker. They've tried a few. They've tried Haller. They've tried I can't remember the guy's name. They've tried a few up there, Arnautovic and Antonio, and even Bowen went up there at times last season.
Yeah.
I think he is a very accomplished striker. I think he's the best striker they have tried up there. And with the support system they've brought in, Somerville, Guido Rodriguez in midfield, I think it's all going to be funneling in towards him, and I think he'll score a lot of goals. And he's also in my fantasy football team because I think he's going to score a lot of goals.
Even score a lot of goals, but I think he'll be
integral.
Integral.
Yeah. Let's go to the biggest, most expensive one, Pedro Neto.
Yeah, I have always really liked him. I think he was great at Wolves. Moving to Chelsea. I didn't want to say it earlier when we were talking about the top four, but I think he's going to be a part of the reason they're going to get to that spot. I think he's a great player, and I think he could do bits at Chelsea, especially because they're coming on from a down season, so people aren't going to expect massive from him. Obviously they are, but you know what I mean, like if they were already in the Champions League in whatnot, they're expecting, all right, now we want to go for the title run, whereas finishing, it was 8th last year.
No, we finished 8th. Yeah. They finished 6th, but they're now
did they finish 6th?
They finished 6th.
Okay.
They're in the Conference League because we won the FA Cup.
Yeah, so all right, so they got the 6th, they got the Conference League, but yeah, still, I think he can push them to that Champions League spot. So yeah, I thought I'd go for him.
What I would say to add on to that is I would have picked Pedro Neto if I could have a guarantee that he would be fit all season long. But I cannot be guaranteed.
That is fair.
And then I think the most transferred in player on fantasy football since the signing was announced, Emil Smith Rowe. And I mean, I think
it goes along a similar sort of line to I think it was Fulham signing Pereira, wasn't it, as well? Mm-hmm. He's kind of embedded himself and become integral to that Fulham team, and I think those two could complement each other very nicely in that team and be an outstanding signing for that team and be the most integral new signing for the level of team that you're talking about. Pedro Neto, yes, but you've already got stars in that team like Palmer for Chelsea, whereas I don't know Fulham had the players that would potentially be on the same calibre as Smith Rowe and stand out that much, and so that's why I've gone for him, because he could make more of an impact into that mid-table team than some of the other ones into a top-tier team.
The only concern about Fulham is that he's their only signing and they've not replaced Palhinha. So if they're not winning the ball back as efficiently, he might not see enough of the ball to make enough of an impact. But I still think, like I say, he's in my fantasy football team, so I clearly think he's going to do well.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, now it gets...
I'll just quickly add to that one. Just again, I mentioned Victor Osimhen earlier. If he does sign...
You would have gone for him.
Probably, yeah, because that is, I think
Definitely
that could be
For the purposes of when
game changer.
for the purposes of when we do our review of this in 9 months' time, I will update it with Osimhen if he signs.
Yes.
Right then, from the best signing to the worst signing, I have gone for Amadou Onana. George has gone for Boss Rackley. Dan has gone for Savinio. And Chris has gone for Delict. Really?
Oh,
Delict?
here we go.
I nearly put him as my signing of the season.
Let him have it, Chris.
Go on, what's your justification for Delict?
I mean, he's been moved around a lot over his time, and he's still quite young. So he had a couple of seasons at Juve, he had a couple of seasons at Bayern. In the most recent season at Bayern, Eric Dyer was keeping him out of the team.
That manager got sacked because they finished third.
He was keeping out of the team because he didn't see something in him and didn't like him.
No. And company's obviously been happy to sell him, but the Bayern fans did sign a huge petition to try and keep him. So
I was also just looking up at his accolades since he was there. So he joined Juve, unsurprisingly, won the Serie A from a Serie A winning team. But the following year, when he was there, they didn't win the Serie A. They won the Coppa Italia, but they didn't win the Serie A there. He then moves on to Bayern in a cup-winning team or a league-winning team, won the league. The following season, doesn't win the league.
I like where you're going with this.
Yeah.
So he signs for Man United and we win the league.
So he drags the team down because he signs for a team that was already winning the league.
Yeah. I mean, there's certainly justification for it, and we have spent 50. We've spent 50 million on him, so he's still got to deliver. But he's with players that he knows. He's obviously got experience with Onana. He's got experience with Mazraoui. There's still rumours we could sign De Jong as well. Yes, we are building the Ajax team that bottled it to Spurs, but it is what it is. But yeah, I think that's fair enough. I mean, the obvious one for Savinio, because we'll do the two Villa players last. The obvious one for Savinio is that last year he was Savio, and now he's gone to Man City. He thinks he can put the N and H in there, like he's actually a top tier Brazilian now. So he quite literally has to deliver, otherwise he's a flop. So
yeah, I'll be honest. I didn't really know who to put for this one, and I didn't know much about him at all. And I was just thinking, well, he's gone to City. Is he going to get much game time? I don't know if you can then call that a flop because they might be having him for future because he's still quite young. But yeah, I'll be honest. It was a bit of a cop out choice. I don't really know much about him, so I was just like, yeah, he can. I didn't want to insult any of the others.
No, that's fair. It's fair. But like I said, he's put the pressure on himself by making himself Firmino. So
I didn't even know that, which is funny. So yeah,
no. His whole career so far, he has been Savio. Now he is Savinio. So
yeah, that's it. No, that's sort of he's
great name for a goalkeeper.
He's the flop.
Got it, George. Ross Barkley.
Yeah, again, like that. This was a difficult one for me. And then I remember I was looking through the list of transfers, and I thought, oh yeah, Ross Barkley. And then I remember when it happened. I remember seeing it in the news, and it was sort of like that scene in The Matrix, when there's the deja vu, and he looks back at the cat and he sees it. I was like, that seems to be somewhat familiar. And I was like, he actually was there already on loan, didn't he? He
was.
He went to Aston Villa on loan earlier, and he flopped. And I thought, why is he going back there? Why are they signing him again? I was like, huh?
I seem to famously remember him scoring 2 goals in a game where they scored 7 in.
That's the game I remember. Yeah, that was all he ever did. But yeah, because he was at Everton, had a couple of good seasons, went to Chelsea, failed to deliver really, didn't he? Spent ages there, went on loan to Aston Villa, flopped, came back, and then he did all right in Nice, but then that's the French league, and then he did all right at Luton, who are now in the Championship. So it's like, and now Aston Villa are going into the Champions League, and they've signed Ross Barkley. I'm like,
and my
that's
word,
not really going to.
Does it really count as a flop when?
But again, I was struggling. He's always already a flop.
I said they've only spent 5 million on him, which is why I didn't.
I know, but I just thought it was such a bizarre. I thought, why would they bring and Aston Villa as well? While we're on them, they've also re-signed Cameron Archer, who they sold, and they've also re-signed that Felengi something.
Yeah, the guy who scored the Rabona in the Championship.
Yeah, and I'm like, what are they? What's their transfer?
So Cameron Archer's being loaned out. They've already said that.
Oh, was he back out again? Okay.
Yeah. So I think they're just
They had to buy him back though. They sold him. They had to buy him back.
they're trying to capitalise. They're trying to fiddle FFP. So they're doing resign.
Right, okay.
I think you could see Philogene get moved on again, but basically loads of clubs were in for him, but they had a buyback first option, so they took that, and now they can sell him for more this window if they want.
Yeah.
So
no, but Ross Barkley was just a bizarre signing to me.
No, but that's why I've gone for Onana over Barkley, because they've spent 60 million on Onana.
Yeah.
And his job is to replace Douglas Luiz, and he ain't Douglas Luiz. He is a completely different style of player. He is big. He's a bit clunky at times, and I think he could be caught napping. He was not impressive for me at the Euros. I think you think that midfield was Tielemans, Onana, and De Bruyne. Onana was clearly the weak link in there. And I think if you're spending 60 million on him to be, like I say, the Douglas Luiz replacement, unless they're going to put Tielemans back there, but he's not as good as tackling, I think Villa could be quite exposed in that midfield with him in there. But I'm happy to be proven wrong, but that's why I've gone for him as the biggest flop.